What's up guys, Deceiver here, back with another build video. Now this, I'm going to preface it by saying this is not my original build, not completely anyway. I've messed with it and tweaked it a bit, but this is actually Kristofer Eso's original build that he made a long time ago actually, except he didn't play it that long, and I'm still playing it because it's ridiculously fun. And this is actually like my favorite build. This is the Resto hybrid Nightblade. Now, it's very rare that I gold out a set because I'm switching through them very frequently and it's very expensive, but I've pretty much golded out this set except for the jewelry because the jewelry was expensive in its own right as it is. Eventually I will gold it out though because I plan on running this build pretty much forever on this character. This hybrid Nightblade is going to be running this build forever. That doesn't mean I won't make another, like a different type of hybrid Nightblade. I'm actually working on something with this set, but yeah. Anyway, we'll go over the build. Again, all the credit goes to him for this original build, but since he made it so long ago, I figured that I'd do a remake of the build video. So running Valkynscoria with Impen. Goes without saying, this is a dot build, so Valkynscoria is going to be the best thing to run. Light on the helmet, heavy on the shoulders, running tri-stat glyphs, and all Impen of course. And then we're running slowed semblance on the body. We are running Impen on the chest, Impen on the legs, and then well fitted on the three other pieces here. Now I'm running tri-stat on the chest, legs, and the belt. I have stamina on the boots and the hands, but I think I'm going to change those to tri-stat as well. I think I'm just going to run all tri-stat. But for now, this is working out just fine with a little bit higher stamina because I do need to be able to dodge roll and sprint and use more stamina abilities than I do Magicka. So then we've got Pelinals on the necklace, rings, all infused, all weapon damage. As you can see, unbuffed, our weapon damage and spell damage is around 3,000. So then we are running the Pelinals bow on the front bar, infused with the Berserker enchant. If you wanted on his build, I believe he ran the Master's bow instead, but I like having Pelinals active on both of my bars personally, so I'm running Pelinals bow instead. Now on the back bar, you're running a Nirnhoned Resto staff, because this is basically your execute bar. The Nirnhoned Resto staff makes it to where they cannot dodge roll your heavy attack from the Resto staff, and you cannot you can actually hit really hard with a heavy attack from this thing. I finish off so many people just heavy attacking with my Resto. Also, the Nirnhoned trait makes it to where your healing is going to be a lot better on this bar as well. So I am also running a poison on the Resto staff bar, which means the heavy attack of the Resto staff actually, I believe, counts as a dot itself because it's a channel, and channels tend to count as dots in this game. And the heavy attack will almost always proc the poison because it ticks several times. And the thing is, it's an insta cast. It doesn't have a travel time like a Inferno staff or a Destruction staff does. This instantly hits. It doesn't have a travel time at all. So I'm running just a random poison that I found. The best poison that I could recommend is this Cowardice poison. I don't have any more of them right now. I only have like 3. Basically, it applies minor cowardice, which means it increases the alt cost of your target by 60%. Which means when you're trying to kill them down, they're not going to be able to use their alts, their defensive alts, to heal back up. This also has double dot on it. As you can see, it has the double dot poison on it. And it also inflicts minor breach, which reduces their spell resistance by 1,300. So having that extra penetration for some of the abilities is going to help your dots tick harder. Now the food that we are using, I'm using the honey, or the Honest Lassie honey tea. That's hard to say. Say that 5 times fast. I'm using that. Actually, I'm going to stick this poison on there. I'm going to use that one, just the regular crown lethal poison. I'm using this, and sometimes I use this Malbec, whatever this kind of beverage is, that gives health recovery instead. It has lower recovery, but it does give it the health recovery. Most of the time I like having the higher recovery on this one. You could also use the Crown Refreshing Drink, which is pretty much the same as this one right here. I've tried this with Tri-Stat food. I like having high recovery in Battlegrounds personally, because I don't seem to have any sustain problems even with the low pools, which you'll see in the gameplay footage at the end. Also, I am using Tri-Stat potions. That's the best potion you could use for this build. Yeah, I think that's it for that. My race is Dark Elf, and I am Stage 4 Vampire for the extra speed and stealth, because I do somewhat gank people in this build. And I'm using the Lover Mundus because the spell penetration stacks better with dots than weapon damage does. So let's get into the skills now and why I'm using each one. Poison Injection I'm not really going to explain. It's just kind of base on any bow build. Lethal Arrow, even though it did get nerfed quite a bit, it still does hit pretty hard, and it also applies the poison status effect, which is another dot that we need, and Minor Defile, which is great. Then we're running Resolving Vigor as our front bar heal. We're running Shadowy Disguise as our escape and defensive tool, and then we're running Reaper's Mark for the extra penetration, basically. And then if you do manage to kill someone while you're 1vxing, you get Major Berserk for 25 seconds. For 5 seconds, that increases your damage by 25%. So, and you also get a really good heal if you kill someone. So when you're 1vxing, this ability is really, really good. So the basic combo that you're going to do, actually I'll go over that after I go over the back bar. I'm running Flawless Dawnbreaker for the extra weapon damage increase while slotted. Next patch, this ability is getting changed, so I'll probably end up putting something else here. I just don't really know what, but I'll figure that out when the time comes. And then on the back bar, we're running Crippling Grasp. Basically just another dot, and it also immobilizes them so that you can catch up to them. And I wish this had the expedition buff still on it. I don't know why they took that away. It sucks. And they're nerfing the shit out of Nightblades. But yeah, the extra dot, this does a lot of dot damage, and the ticks usually make Valkynscoria go off. Then I'm using Merciless Resolve. It's just a good ability. It does a lot of damage, and it helps with your survivability. Using Healing Ward as our back bar heal. The combination of Vigor and Healing Ward is amazing. My survivability is really high because of using that combination. I'm using Leeching Strikes over the other morph. I tried the other morph first, but I found that I use a lot less magicka on this build than I use stamina, so I wanted to get more stamina return instead of magicka return. So Leeching Strikes over Siphoning attacks. And then I'm using Shadow Image. Now Shadow Image is very, very important in certain matchups. Like when you're fighting a Templar, this is basically the only way that you're going to survive against them. You better put this down as soon as you realize that they are Templar. Put this down, and when they try and jabs you and slow you and keep you pinned down, you're going to have to teleport back to this, and then you're going to want to Crippling Grasp them and immobilize them, and from there just kind of burn them down as best you can. Now Soul Assault is my back bar ultimate. I really like this. You could also run Incap, but I like Soul Assault because it counts as another dot, and it also reveals enemies that are in stealth or invisible. So there's Nightblades are not getting away from this build most of the time, because for one, the dots are going to pull them out of stealth, and for two, this is just going to destroy them. I usually use this ability on a Nightblade before anybody else. And when you've got all these other dots ticking on them, Slodes, Crippling Grasp, Poison Injection, all that shit, this is just going to burn them down. Like, I usually just use, like, people will try and heal up, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get out of this. I'll be able to heal through these dots, and then I'll just soul assault, and then you just see them melt, and it's fucking hilarious. But this ability is also getting a little bit worse next patch, so I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this as the ultimate. So these two ultimate abilities might change, but I think the rest of the build is still going to be solid. I'll have to test Healing Ward and see if the nerf to it is going to be too bad, but we'll have to see. I believe Resolving Vigor is going to be actually better. So, and Snipe is getting a minor buff as well. Poison Injection's getting hit a little bit, but I think it'll still be okay because we're using it more for the dot than the execute anyway. So I think most of the build is going to stay intact, and if not, then I'll just rework it to where it still works out just fine. You want all the passives for Nightblade pretty much. I'm just going to go through and see if there's any like specific passives that you want. That you usually wouldn't have. You definitely want these vampire passives. You could also run Mistform if you find that you're dying a lot and you need to be more elusive. Actually, Bat Swarm might be something that I look into next patch as well, but we'll have to see. Yeah, you want the actually I don't even have that skill point. You want all of the Fighters Guild passives. I don't think I'm using any Mages Guild stuff. I don't even have Sigic Order on this. All the passives for your Dark Elf. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. Yeah, I think I've went over everything, so we're going to get into the gameplay now, and I'll see you guys in the next video.